Hi, everybody. Russ, Miami's 11. Hope you're all safe and well. If you're new channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you may know every time there's new content on. As always, I'd like to thank our channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. Today, we have another, very fortunate to interview another ex-Hammer. Neil played, I think, over 20 first-team appearances in the 2003-04 season. Scored a couple of goals as well. It was short-lived. He got injured, unfortunately, but and we'll have a giggle because there's not many players who have played 20 odd games but under 3 different managers, which will be quite interesting. How are we doing this, Mellor? How are you, man?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Not many games, like you say, but it was an honour to represent West Ham in that short period of time. And like you say, it was interesting. There were some cracking players at the football club at the time, and 3 managers. Finally got myself a couple of goals. Seemed to take forever to get them goals, but I got them.
But it's one of those. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it's I like to interview. I mean, it doesn't matter if you've played one game for West Ham or you've played 500. I mean, how much Mark Noble's played. Everyone, everyone would trade their life, Neil, to put on any West Ham fan would trade their life to put the West Ham shirt on once, let alone make 20 appearances and score a couple of goals as well. You know what I mean? And it was. I mean, the whole idea of what we do is just sort of it's a bit nostalgic and going back and talking about sort of your time there and stuff like that. But in the present,
I've got the shirt in the background. Can you see it?
Look, he's got it there. Mellor, there he is.
33. Wasn't worn too often, but it's still there.
Wasn't faded because it wasn't washed that much, but no, it's all good, man. It's all good. But how are you obviously in present day? How are you at the moment? How's things with you in the weird world we live in?
Strange times, really strange times, isn't it? I feel quite lucky because I've been to quite a few football matches since the season started. Not enjoyed watching football with no fans. It's a completely different game. It's a lot harder for the players. The quality's not what it was certainly with the fans there. So the sooner the fans can get back, obviously, ultimately, it's about everyone being safe at this time. I think it's the uncertainty, the unknown of how do I catch the virus? How do I protect myself? I don't want my loved ones. I don't want anyone to get it. I've been fortunate that I haven't had it, touch wood, and but obviously a lot of people haven't suffered from it, and it seems to have been horrendous. So the sooner we're out of all this lockdown, fans can get back in the stadiums, we can start enjoying our football a little bit more.
Yeah, no, exactly. And obviously, you cover, as you said before we started, you cover a lot of the league games particularly, and I can imagine even more so, all those grounds are relatively tight grounds, small grounds. So having fans makes a massive difference. I think in the Premier League, because they're more like bowls and it doesn't seem, they're not on top of you so much. And so you probably notice it even more, those sort of lower league teams.
Probably my favourite game of this season. It was December. It was Carlisle. It was freezing cold. It was a Tuesday night. When they were playing Salford, they were going quite well. Both teams were going well in League Two, and it was the first time that they could have 2,000 fans back in the stadium. And honestly, it was brilliant. It felt like a sellout. It finished 2-1 to Carlisle, and it was a proper buzz again. Every time the referee made a bad decision, he was getting booed. The opposition were getting booed. Carlisle, every time they got near the goal, it was just like football used to be. But I've waited that long to experience it again. So to the fans, when they are allowed back in, they will enjoy being back.
Oh yeah. I mean, it is weird at London Stadium at the moment. I'm still there for the home games, and it's to be honest, it's got to the point now where it's become the norm. Do you know what I mean? That when we had 2,000 for the Man United game, and it was a bit of an annoyance for me because it's like I had to get the train in. I didn't, it's like I felt really bad, but it was like it's become sort of normal, which is a bad thing, really. But as you said, 2,000 fans, even at London Stadium, they made a racket, and it was a bit emotional actually. Now listening, singing Bubbles, and you could hear them because there was not much else going on really in terms of noise in the ground. So
shame VAR wasn't working that game when the ball went out for a throw-in. That's another story.
Another story. Doesn't matter whether it's lockdown, no lockdown, whether it's VAR is still VAR, isn't it? So, and that's why we love it, because it's football, isn't it? It's even that it's about opinions and about even the computer, a straight line, and people are moaning whether it's on the line. It's just mental, isn't it?
Bonkers.
Absolutely mental. But that's what football's all about, isn't it? It's all about, as you the fans, and I think. To be honest, people can see the game a lot better now on the telly, a lot safer. But it's not necessarily the football. It's about, particularly for West Ham, it's the fans. It's getting together. It's meeting down the pub, and yeah, I think we're a long way off that. But I think next season there'll be, I think we've fobbed this season off now. I think in terms of getting fans back in by the time we get out of lockdown again and whatnot.
Don't rule it out. West Ham, good position, not far off them European.
Oh no, we're fine. No, we're fine. We're doing well without the fans. God, we're going to be, we'll be in Europe probably in the FA Cup. Who knows? But it's a typical West Ham thing. But I think getting fans back into the ground, I think it's one of those things where I think you have to, it's. I think this season's going to be too soon with the vaccine and stuff. So next season, and when that London Stadium, when everyone's back there, 60,000, it's going to be a fantastic time. But yeah, no, it's sad. But as you said, West Ham are doing all right for us at the moment. They're keeping us entertained. They're doing okay, Neil, which is doing very well.
Very well. Yeah, I've enjoyed watching West Ham. I tell you who I like, and I saw him a lot in the Championship. Bowen. Yeah, I really like Bowen. I think he's been. I don't know what the West Ham fans think about him, but I thought he's a player who can make a difference. He can win a football match. He can create something. I know West Ham fans have had great players over the years who've been able to do that, and I'm sure when the fans come back in, they can enjoy him a little bit more. Bowen.
Yeah, they've done well. I mean, Moyes brought in some good heads. I think in terms of the team, both in terms of player personnel and backroom staff as well. And they seem to make a big difference. All they've brought in like proper football people. Do you know, like PSC?
My favourite coach is at your football club.
Really?
Alan Irvine, the best. He was absolute. He was manager. Was it 2 or 3 games when Moyes was at home?
Yeah.
Irvine loved him. Absolutely loved him. He was the best coach I've ever had. He was great.
Really?
Yeah.
Seems like a really nice guy. It was quite funny because like we were there at the start, and obviously we didn't know that. And I didn't realise that Moyes wasn't at the game because I just saw this sort of silver-haired person, and it was only when the camera zoomed in, I thought he's about a foot taller than Moyes usually is. He's not in. I was like, oh Jesus! But yeah, it's just a buzz around West Ham at the moment. It seems, there's a real togetherness within the players and the staff, and the players and the staff together, and it's nice to see, man. It's nice to see. And long may it continue. Long may it continue. But as we said, it's 2003, 2004 season. You played for us, Neil. And what I like to do is I like to find out like how the transfer happened. Now, I think you're probably, to be honest, I think you're our first player who joined us on loan we've had on the channel.
Okay.
Rather than, you know what I mean? So what's obviously when we've had interview players who obviously been out on loan, who've gone out on loan to various clubs, but not come into West Ham. How does that happen in terms of the process from, he was at Liverpool all the time, God bless him, Gerard Houllier would, how did that all happen and why West Ham basically?
Well, how it happened was did all right in sort of the youth team and the reserves at Liverpool. Scored quite a few goals, and that pre-season, I remember we went away to the Far East to Thailand, and I remember seeing West Ham in the airport, and I think the manager Gerard Houllier was obviously speaking to the West Ham manager at the time, which was Glenn Roeder. Didn't think anything of it. I'm going over to the Far East, thinking, right, I'm part of Liverpool's plans this season. I'm a young kid. I mean, in terms of young kid today, I was 20. That's quite old for a young kid these days breaking through. But back then it was sort of under 17s, under 19s. Then you're in and around the first team in the reserve. So I've done all right pre-season. I got 2 goals away at Aberdeen in a pre-season friendly for Liverpool. I was thinking, I'm part of the plans here. I'm definitely going to be involved this season. I'm not going to dislodge Owen or Heskey, but I'm going to be on the bench and coming off and scoring goals. So I was made up. And Houllier pulled me after the game and he said, you've done great, but I think it's time now you experience senior football somewhere else, maybe on loan. So have a little think about it. 2 clubs have come in for you. There's West Ham and there's Sunderland. So have a little think about it. So it's like, okay, fine. Both are just, I don't know if Sunderland have just been relegated, possibly, but both teams are in the Championship, and obviously West Ham had just been relegated the season before. And so I had a little think about things. Obviously, Glenn Roeder was the manager at West Ham, and he rang me up and he said, I want to improve you as a player. You're coming down to West Ham, and you may play some games, you may play most games, but I want to really develop you as a football player. So to me, I was thinking, right, fine. There's no pressure that I'm going to be starting every game. And then it's a chance to develop. And Whereas I didn't speak to Mick McCarthy, who was the Sunderland manager. But because I'd made my mind up for West Ham, my dad being my dad, and because he was an ex-football player, and
Yes.
I didn't have an agent at the time. The PFA have always represented me. I've never had an agent. I don't believe in an agent. It's always the PFA to me that I've done all the contracts. And so my dad said, I've got to ring Mick McCarthy and tell him I didn't want to sign for him. Now you've seen Mick McCarthy, not the sort of character you want to be messing about with. So I've written it down. Like I say, I'm 20. I've only lived at home. I'm not expecting to be out of my comfort zone to ring Mick McCarthy, Sunderland boss. Written it all down. Mick McCarthy, just want to say it's Neil Mellor. Thanks very much for wanting to sign me at Sunderland. I'm going to sign for West Ham, but good luck this season. And he went, okay, see you later. And that was
you put yourself all up for a row.
It was a brief phone call, but I think he appreciated it, rather than being perhaps an agent ringing up. And then obviously Glenn Roeder was saying, right, well, brilliant, come down. But we're playing Preston on the first game, so that's near to you. So there's no point in travelling down to London on the Thursday night because we're travelling up on the Friday. So we'll meet you. We'll meet you up there. So I was like, fine, where do you want to meet? He said, well, we'll just meet at a service station on the way.
I've heard this story, Neil. I've heard this story.
So I said, okay, well, I don't live too far away from Knutsford, coming up the M6.
Yeah.
So they've driven up, 3 hours on the coach, the West Ham team coach. And sure enough, picked me up at Knutsford Services on the Friday lunchtime. I've got onto the bus in my ordinary clothes. They're all in the West Ham trackies on the team bus. I'm thinking, where do I sit? Luckily, there was a seat next to Jermaine Defoe. He said, come and sit next to me. Sat next to little JD. And we've gone straight to the training ground, which is Blackburn Rovers' training ground, because we trained there the day before the game. So I got off the bus, got changed into my training kit, barely said hello to the lads, the manager, hi, I'm Neil on loan from Liverpool. And we start training. Next thing, the manager names the team the next day, and he puts me in the starting lineup. And I'm like, I'm in the team. I've not even played. I've not even trained. Something. Oh no, that's not gone down too well. David Conley, who had played quite a few pre-season games, he's walked off. He's had enough of training. He's got himself showered, and I'm thinking, is a player allowed to do that? Because I didn't think any player was allowed to do that, but he's done whatever he's wanted. He's gone off. So straight away, I signed for the football club, and it's not an ideal start really from arriving so sort of late in the day. First game of the season as well. That.
Oh, it's mental. Yeah,
I've got the picture.
You got it.
I've got a picture. Here we go. Can you see it? So
there
that was my debut, and should have scored. Poor finish from me there. Gone round the goalie. I think he saved it in the end. It was about 100 degrees that day.
It was really hot. I remember that day in August. I remember sitting in some pub in Loughton. I remember watching that game. Yeah, it was a bloody hot day that day, but especially in Preston as well. God, must have been really hot for you guys up there.
It was
brilliant. What a great story. That sort of sets you on the right foot for that season, really, because Glenn was probably there for about he's in August. He was gone by the end of the month, wasn't he? Really,
three games. I think Rotherham away was the end. Rotherham away. We got changed in a hotel. I don't know who made that decision, but Millmoor was the football ground that Rotherham were playing at the time. Decent side, Rotherham back then. Got changed at the hotel. We've turned up to the game on a Saturday afternoon in our West Ham kit, coming off the team bus. And so I think Rotherham would obviously think, who do they think they are getting off the team? Not even, our changing rooms aren't good enough. But I remember the changing rooms were sort of split because it was such a small one. So sort of half the team was in one side, all crammed in, and then in the other side. And I remember I came off the bench. I've got a picture of me and Mickey Carrick somewhere. And on the bench, 1-0 down at Rotherham. We come off the bench. And I played Defoe clean through, and I think the keeper saved it. And we ended up losing 1-0. It kicked off in the changing room. Again, it was a big wake-up call to me because I'd never seen anything like this. Senior lads arguing with the manager, Glenn Roeder, and it was a big shock to me at the time. And I like Glenn, but that was it after that game.
Yeah, it's one of those things as well. It's particularly for it's, as you said, coming from Liverpool and going into this situation where the team had just been relegated. There was a big change in the staffing that was coming in. Obviously Defoe was there, and at the moment, and David James and people like that, some real England internationals really. And then, as you said, then Glenn coming in, and then just not working that sort of beginning of August. And then obviously Sir Trevor Brooking came in. I mean, what was that like as well? Because it's like he's just like, yeah, Sir Trevor Brooking. Now he's managing West Ham.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. From the moment he sat us all down at the training ground in the gym, he sat us down, and I mean, Trev, obviously a legend of West Ham, a legend for football, and he big smile on his face, saying, "Lads, I couldn't turn it down. I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to take the job. I'm here for however long the football club want me. So let's just do our best. Let's enjoy it." And I was sat there thinking, oh my God, he just wants to make it enjoyable. This is going to be brilliant. And to be fair to Trev, he pretty much played me in all his games. He definitely involved me in all his games, and I really got on with it with him, enjoyed the training sessions, and we were going well. We weren't top of the league, but I think we were certainly sort of top 4 or 5. And I really enjoyed that time under Sir Trev.
Yeah. He was just, and he seems to like, he's done it a couple of times where he's come on as caretaker manager, and I just think, he's one of those guys, because it's West Ham, a lot of players then go and manage their boyhood club, and it never really works out. But for Trev, I think he was always given a free pass because he was Sir Trev, and he seemed to play really like West Ham football in terms of the quality of football that came through. So you had Glenn, you had Trev, and then Mr. Pardew turns up.
Pardew turns up, all turned for me on that moment.
Didn't it?
Do you know what? In all fairness to Alan Pardew, because he came in, I think it was from Reading. He'd done really well at Reading, if I remember rightly. I think no, he's inherited me. So I'm Glenn Roeder's player, and I'd signed a contract at West Ham for 1 season loan. And I remember there was some headlines when I first signed, Mellor's going to play every game. No, I've got to earn the right to be in the team, as it showed with how many games I played. I didn't play every game at all. But so I was on loan for the season, and Alan Pardew was honest with me straight up. He said, "I've inherited you. I want my own players. So it's not. So your game time is going to be limited." And I thought that was really good of him. It was frustrating because I want to prove to him that I can be his player, but I'd never started a game for him. And in fact, I had the ultimate, which no footballer wants. He brought me on away at Cardiff. Can you believe this? Away at Cardiff in the league, Ninian Park. I tell you what, good atmosphere. I mean, West Ham took a few away fans that day as well. That was good atmosphere. Brought me on after about 10 minutes and then hooked me after 80. I'm sure the game was on Sky as well. I was thinking, come on, just keep me on for 10 more minutes. And when it came off on the bench, everyone was laughing at me. It was like, I've just been embarrassed by all my family watching on telly, and then all my mates were just laughing on the bench. But it wasn't to be with obviously me and Alan Pardew, but he was honest. He was straight to me. He could have made it a lot harder than he did. So and even years later, I went back to Liverpool, and then about a year or so later, I scored a goal for Liverpool, and he actually wrote me a letter just to wish me all the best. And I just thought that was a really nice touch. So I thought that was good. That was good.
As you said, he was honest enough to come up with you straight away, and and say, it's you're not my player. You're Glenn's player, and at least there's that honesty rather than making you work hard every week. In training, and then you get disappointed because you're going to get picked. It's sort of not realization, but there's sort of an expectation rather in terms of that game time. But also, you got injured, didn't you? He was injured as well. It was just
on my birthday, on my 21st birthday. It was. I played at Upton Park in a reserve game. I don't know who it was against. Who was it against? Wimbledon. It might have been Wimbledon before we signed the 3 players from Wimbledon: Ria Coker, Joby McAnuff, and Adam Nolan. They might have all played in that game. So we're playing at Upton Park. Pardew was in charge, and I've had a shot, and it was at the time when the blades were coming out. Do you know, with the Predator blade? Yeah. Someone's gone in late on my ankle, and it's completely opened up, blood everywhere, and I was in hospital getting it all stitched up. And it took a month for it to close. We tried seaweed, we tried everything to make it close because it was a blade. So it was unfortunate, but it was one of those things. On my 21st birthday, I just had crutches and my foot up, and I've got a twin sister. She'd come down and said, "I'll take you out in London. I'll take you out for a meal. We'll go Harrods. You can get yourself some chocolate or whatever." And in the end, I'm just in the flat, just sat up. with feet up.
That's yeah. I mean, but the thing is, that always happens at West Ham. It seems now. I know it happens at every club, but it does seem for West Ham. It does seem to happen more often than not. For some reason, I don't know why. It's just might just be me, just my claret and blue glasses. But it does seem to be. But you said it was just one of those things. But I mean, that first period, I said, I mean, you said you bagged yourself a couple of goals. You got, you had your home debut at West. I know you've got another picture there for your home debut.
You want to see this picture? You want to see this picture? Come on.
Debut.
Is it worthy enough for Instagram or something like that? There we go. So that was my home debut.
That's a great picture.
Holding 2 defenders off there. That was Bradford City, and I'll always remember at half time. It was my first start. It was my first start at Upton Park. I think I'd come off the bench in another game. So at half time, it's 0-0. We've battered them. We're playing well. Yeah. And I always remember the fans like a little bit disgruntled, like I don't say booing us off, but they were saying we want more. And I remember the chat at half time in the dressing room. The lads were like, "Done all right there. We're going to win this." But the fans weren't happy because we'd been relegated. And they're expecting us to be beating Bradford 3 or 4. And sure enough, second half, I think we won the game 1-0. Defoe might have got the only goal. But that was a big shock to me. It was like, that's not acceptable. You cannot draw at home to Bradford. So that was that picture. That was that game. Didn't score, but it was a good little memory.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said, you mentioned some of the players. That looking in that squad you had, you was involved in. There were some players there. I mean, considering, some had obviously had moved on, but some were still there at the beginning, and some moved on, obviously, when it came to, sort of Jermaine and David James and people like that. But you still had like some big old personalities in there for, relative. He said, "Oh, you're 20, you're a relative, you're still a youngster in terms of football nowadays." I mean, now, Declan Rice is 21, he's captain West Ham, it's different now, different era now. But going in the dressing room with people like Thomas Repka and people like that, it must have been
I remember Tommy Repka before Christmas. He had a Ferrari, and obviously he's from Czech Republic. And we had like car cleaners that came in once, maybe twice a week, whatever it was. And one of them's washing his car before Christmas, and you just give them the keys, they move it in the car park, and one of them had reversed it into the building, the training ground. Oh my God. This poor lad who'd been washing Tommy Repka's car was crying his eyes out. He was devastated because he knew it was Tommy Repka's car, and everyone was like, we had to calm him down, Repka, to say, "Listen, just go easy. The guy's washing your car. He's made an honest mistake." But he was absolutely fuming. He calmed down in the end. But this poor lad, he reversed his Ferrari into the building at the training ground.
He's the man who still genuinely scares me. Even when we're like conversing on Instagram, if he sends me a message, I get scared just reading his text message. Even like a thumbs up, you think he's going to be an aggressive thumbs up with Thomas Repka, but yeah,
didn't say a lot, but what he said, you're thinking, I'm staying on the right side of you.
Yeah, he was a very, 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 very intimidating person, was Thomas Repka. But I mean, he said people like Christian Daly, you had Effers, you had Deadly Don, you had some really great players, and Rob Lee, people like that as well. I think people we forget who played for West Ham. A lot of experience there as well. Must have been great for like a young lad sitting in these dressing rooms. People like Rob Lee, Don Hutchinson, obviously with the Liverpool connection as well. What was it like in the dressing room more than anything? It must have been like a real hodgepodge of senior pros, really, all sort of buying together, basically.
Yeah, it was a case of household names. These lads have been around at the top of the Premier, in the Premier League for years, and you're thinking, know who these boys are, know what they're capable of. But it was, do you know what? It was a good dressing room. We'd get together, we'd have. I mean, there's a lot of young lads in that squad as well, and we'd always sort of socialise together. I mean, we'd go out some Sunday afternoons. Could be like 15 of us, all having a few drinks. It was a good little group. It wasn't all the time, but it was a good little bonding group. So yeah, and the senior boys as well were top pros.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. We did a quite, as you said, we got the Wimbledon 3, didn't we? And we got like when Anton was still there, and that, and there was
Elliot
quite a young
Ward was
squad.
there, centre half. Fordy,
Yeah,
the
Chris
goalkeeper, was there.
Cohen.
Bywater was there. David
Yeah,
Noble was there. Matt Kilgallen was there. Garcia was best mates with Carrick. Mickey Carrick was only young at that time as well.
yeah, yeah,
Defoe, it was a good little group.
yeah.
Bernie was.
Little Sean Byrne. Yeah, God, yeah. It's
Yeah,
yeah. We had Stephen. We had Stephen on a couple of weeks ago. It was a good laugh actually. Stephen Bywater. Lovely bloke. Lovely bloke. Only sleeps in 45-minute slots. Um,
he's a
he's,
goalkeeper. What? Nothing surprises me with them goalies. They're all absolute nutters.
but he's got his business he's working on. So yeah, he sleeps in 45-minute stints.
Brilliant.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And obviously we had young I call him young Joe Seeley. He's like literally the same age as me. We had Joe on the other, and obviously you and Joe I know are good friends. He mentioned you in his interview. He said, "Oh, you should get Neil Mellor on." So I've already got him on. But yeah, and you scored a couple against Joe, didn't you?
Yeah, he's but before I reminded him of the 2 goals he'd scored, he reminded me of the penalty he'd saved. It was a pre-season tournament. We're going back a few years, and it was over in Holland. West Ham, Liverpool, youth team in the final. Finished 2-2. I got 2 of Liverpool's goals, went straight to pens, and he only went and saved my pen. So West Ham won it on pens. So he reminds me of that. It was a great save. I don't know how he saved it. How's he saved it?
I love the way you scored 2 goals against him. It's the penalty. He saved the penalty. That's the thing he wants to talk about. But no, as he said, loads of great players. What we try and do with everyone we get on the channel is we get them to sort of name a Hammers 11. Obviously, we know you're only there for 20 odd games, but obviously it was still a long season, and there was the 3 managers and stuff like that, and different players coming in and coming out. So
Got a selection.
He's got a selection. There we go. He's got notes and everything. It's very impressive, Neil.
It's a long time ago. I've had to write it down, thinking I don't want to miss anyone out.
When you look at it, it's like 15 years, 16 years ago, 17 years ago. That does seem like a long time ago, doesn't it? Really, that's crazy, isn't it? I remember that very well that time. Right. Okay. So let's start off between the sticks.
Yeah.
Relatively easy one, I reckon. Between the. Oh, I don't know actually. I don't know.
Yeah. Obviously, we've mentioned Stevie Bywater was there. Fordy was there, but he never really got a sniff. He went on to play many games for Ireland. Yeah. Pavel Srnicek came just as I left, so I didn't really spend too much time with Pavel. But David James, he was just a real presence between the sticks and a big character in that dressing room. So I'm going to put David James in goal for me.
Yeah. He's one of those players. I think people forget played for us. As a goalkeeper. There's this sort of like you had like Ludic McCloskey and then Shaka Hislop but David James was like he was very. I thought he was a great goalkeeper for us. I think he was just so big, big.
Really good goal, great kick as well. Yeah.
So a nice guy as well. Right, okay. You go for the teams you've got them written down, Neil, and we'll stop each one.
Okay, so full-backs. I've got a choice between. For some reason, I've written 1 right back down. I can't remember any right backs except Tommy Repka, and as if I couldn't put Tommy Repka in because he'd find me and say, "Why we're not in that team?" Tommy Repka is definitely in there. The other side, left back, I've written 3 down. I had Wayne Quinn for a little bit. John Harley, I remember he scored an absolute screamer at Sheffield away. But the man I'm going to put in is someone that I liked and got on with, Rufus Brevitt. Liked Roof. Yeah, I liked him. Thought he was a real solid left fullback as well. So Brev for me in at left fullback.
Yes.
I've got 6 centre halves. How can you have 6 centre halves?
There was quite a few centre halves at West Ham that time.
I've got Christian Daly, Ian Pearce, Anton Ferdinand, Elliot Ward, Andy Melville, and Matt Kilgallen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick Scottish international Christian Daly because he was a proper leader at centre half, and then it was a toss up. I mean, I live with Matt Kilgallen, but if Killer watches this, you're not in there because you can see too many goals with. It was out of Ian Pearce or Anton Ferdinand, and Pearce was
Yeah.
a great lad. He helped me settle in, but I was close with Anton, and obviously Anton's. I thought Anton had a really decent career as well, so I'm going to put Anton alongside Christian Daly as my two centre halves.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. That sounds good. Yeah, Anton, friend of the channels. That's okay. He's happy. That'd be good.
He's a good
Right.
lad.
He's a cracking lad. Really nice bloke. Lovely guy. And also, like, when you talk to people, and I mean, as I said, you do a lot of sports presenting and stuff like that. And someone like Anton Ferdinand, just like I deliberately didn't talk about Rio and stuff like that because I thought he must get sick of it, and then he just comes out and talks about it, and then I look like a really good interviewer. And I didn't actually ask the question, but he just remembers him, asking his thoughts about Rio and stuff, and how living in his shadow and stuff like that. But yeah, he's a top bloke.
I remember picking Anton up once to take him back down to London, and I had to pick him up from his brothers. I was made up, but he never let me in. But I picked him up. He waited outside for him.
Did you come in? No.
I was like that, looking around, going to come in now.
Yeah. Go on, you crack on, Neil, man.
Right, that's my defence, midfield. Yeah, nice. Loads of midfield players. How do you narrow it down? Obviously, well, definite's Mickey Carrick because I mean, what a player Mickey Carrick, one of the great midfielders of the Premier League. But then there was Rob Lee, but he wasn't quite in his prime at that time. Stevie Lomas had a lot of injuries at the time. Don Hutch, great lad, injuries at the time. Ryakoka, Noland, McAnuff, that they sort of came in, but only brief spells when I was there. David Noble, I lived with little Nobes before obviously Mark Noble came in, no relation. Remember the Swedish international, Alexandersson?
Nicholas Alexandersson from Everton.
He wasn't there long, but he was a good player.
Yeah.
Kev Horlock.
Yeah, Kev Horlock. Yeah, Man City as well. Wasn't he?
Great lad. What a great lad he was. Right, so we've got all them. I'm going to put Mickey Carrick in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stick Etherington out on the left wing. Matty Etherington, another good lad. We got on very well with Matty Etherington. We got him from Spurs, didn't we?
Yeah, he was a great player
at that time. And then we put Stevie Lomas in because he was thought he was outstanding. He had a lot of injuries, but Lomi was great laugh.
Top bloke.
And then I've got to stick someone out on that right hand side, so I'm going to put Hutch because he looked after me, Don Hutchinson. He can play narrow on that right hand side, drifting side. And I've still probably got. I think I robbed one of his tracky tops, so I still owe him his tracky top. So he let me off if I put him in the team.
Yeah, he would do, Don. Good old Don. I saw him the other day. Actually, I was trying to get him to come on. I will do. I will get him on here eventually. But yeah, because you see people, don't it? Like I mean, like when you're walking around sort of the grounds and stuff, and I don't put two and two together, and then I realised it was Don. It was too late. I looked like a bit of an idiot if I came back. But yeah, Deadly Don Hutchinson. Obviously played for us twice. Came back, so I love boomerang players who go away and come back. There's something special about them. Okay, that's a tough four, isn't it? That's a tough midfield four.
Solid. That is solid, isn't it?
Change out of that but midfield. Right.
How's that not won the championship?
Do you know what? Yeah, it was a good point. Obviously, we didn't go up that year. Obviously, having lost in the playoffs to Palace, I still have nightmares about that. There's two games. That game, I still have nightmares about. I can close my eyes and I can still see the Millennium Stadium, the other end, all in yellow shirts, like bobbing to "Glad All Over" because that was their song, weren't it? And it was actually Millennium Stadium again, 2006, the FA Cup final. I still hate that. That game is still in my.
I'd gone back at that time for the for that loan spell, but we did beat Crystal Palace if you remember that season. I know Palace.
Yes, we did.
And that was one of the only games I scored in. So Card should have brought me back just for that final to score against Palace. But that's another story.
That's another story. Old chocolate. Right. Okay. Who's up front then, Neil?
Centre forwards. You can put Defoe in, and then you can take your pick out of one of these partners. So obviously the JD. Little JD could score from anywhere. Great goal scorer. I mean, what's he got? Did I see something ridiculous? Like he's got 200 or 300 career goals, something crazy like that.
I mean, he's obviously still banging them in, isn't he, for Rangers at the moment?
Brilliant. So yeah, brilliant. I mean, always been a goal scorer, and he was a good lad. I remember his girlfriend at the time. I think had Jermaine Defoe on his arm, and he binned her off about a month later. It was, but maybe he should tell you that story. Maybe edit that one out.
Yeah.
Okay, so other centre forwards, there was David Conley. Obviously, not going to put him in. He didn't even celebrate my goal when I scored against Palace. We'll leave that one alone. Garcia, the Aussie.
Yeah.
He's a good lad. Marlon Harewood came. That was sort of Pard's signing to go in the team. Bobby Zamora signed as I was leaving, but another outstanding centre forward. But I think the man I'm going to put in, only played a few minutes with him really, was Brian Dean. He was a player who, I know he's come to the end of his career at that time, but what a top centre forward he was, and what a good lad he was in that dressing room. He was talking to the younger players and really helping them. So I really liked Brian Dean, and for me, Dean and Defoe up front. I tell you what, a little partnership that, isn't it?
Yeah. Who needs SAS? You got D&D.
There you go.
D&D. Nah, brilliant, man. Neil, man, it's been brilliant. It's been lovely chatting to you. Really genuinely enjoyed it, man. It was really, really fun. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, man, because I know you must be very, very busy all over the bloody place, but you can't play any golf at the moment. So are you a golf man? Are you a golf man, Neil?
I do enjoy my golf. You might have seen me Instagram. I got a hole in one last year. I was like, how's that happened?
Well done, son. Well done.
That was a highlight of a strange year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, before I started doing the channel, I knew, like, you know, sort of golf, you know, footballers play golf, but you all do play golf. You know, it's like, whether it's, I don't know, whether it's yourself, whether it's, I don't know, Frank McAvenny, you know, everyone plays. Everyone knows how much golf you guys play, and it must be awful now. You can't play golf.
Yeah, I'm rubbish, but it's a good little bit of competitiveness to get out there and have a game.
Exactly. But anyway, Neil, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. And thanks everyone for watching, whether it's on YouTube or listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever. Give it a like, give it a share. And for myself and for Mr. Mellor, take care, everyone. Stay safe, wash those hands, come on you irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Much love. See you later.